Hi, students. It's Mrs. Madigan, and I miss being in class with you. Um, I've been very sick, but I finally started to get a little bit better. I've been, with some doctor's help, I've been getting better and better here. But today I finally turned a corner, and so I assume that on Monday I'll be back to teaching, which will be great. But I did want to make sure I recorded a video with your integers Classkick review for today. I do now have bronchitis as well. I had a lot of different things going on, and went to the hospital to get help with everything, and now I'm much better, but I do have a cough, so I apologize if I do stop the video. It may sound choppy, or I may be coughing on the video, and I apologize for that. Um, and then I also wanted to tell you that while you're watching this, you can pause it and then go to your Classkick and work on it, and then come back to the video and play the rest of it. So feel free to pause it as needed. And then just continue playing. Okay, so you're going to have a quiz on Thursday, December 11th, which probably is when you'll be watching this video. So with the quiz, I'm going to make another video and go over each question with you, since I can't be there, just so that way you have a nice guide into the quiz. And then just remember too that this will be unlocked until the middle of January. So if you need to retake it or anything like that, there will be lots of time to do that. If you have any specific questions, I'll be able to help you with that next week. And you're not going to just, whatever this grade is, this will be your grade, of course. So you can redo anything. You can redo the Classkicks. You can redo your quizzes. So let's get started with this Classkick. All right, so it says plot number 2 on the number line. So it's -2, it's showing us, -2. So when we're going to plot that on the number line, we are going to look for 0. I always start at 0, right? And then I try to find -2. So negative is to the left, positive numbers are to the right. So we're going to look at -2, and we're going to plot that on the, so we just put a little dot right where that dash is with the -2. So that's all we have to do for that one, and that gives us our answer. Okay, so then the next one, it says Sarah enters the lobby of her apartment building. She takes the elevator to her apartment on the 8th floor. She then brings her laundry to the laundry room that is located 1 floor below the lobby, in the basement of the building. How can you use integers to represent the locations of Sarah's apartment, the laundry room, and the lobby? Enter the answers. So what this number 2 wants us to do is it wants us to make a number line with a real life situation. So normally we make number lines going left to right, but I'm actually going to make this one going up and down, just because that's sort of how elevators work. So just easier for our brains to think that way. So Sarah enters the lobby of her apartment building. She takes the elevator to her apartment on the 8th floor. So we know that she entered the building on the lobby, at the lobby. So the lobby is representing 0. Okay. And then she went to her apartment. I'm going to put APT, and that was on the 8th floor. And then the laundry room is located 1 floor below the lobby. So laundry room 1 floor below the lobby, so that'd be a -1. So then it wants us to use those integers to represent the locations of her apartment, the laundry room, and the lobby, and enter the answers. So remember that when you are answering these, you want to enter and type in the number in the green box. So we know that her apartment would be represented by the 8th floor, the laundry room is -1, and the lobby is our base, our home base, which is the 0 there. Nice job. So what is the opposite of negative 7.9? So, so um, I want you to put your hand up in the air. And then if I tell you to do the opposite, then do the opposite. So you're going to do the opposite. So your hand should be down. Now do the opposite. Now your hand should be up. So what I wanted you to do there was when you put your hand up and I said, do the opposite, you put your hand down. And then I said, do the opposite, you put your hand back up. And so that's showing that the opposite of the opposite ends up being the same number, the same thing. So the opposite of negative 7.9 is 7.9. And then the opposite of that is negative 7.9. So you end up going, when you're doing the opposite of the opposite, you end up going, you're basically just rewriting the same number. Negative 7.9 there. Next one. Last week, Eric scored -2 while playing a round of pitch and putt golf. So last week, he scored -2. This week, he scores the opposite. So -2 to 0 is 2 units away. Right? So 0 to -1, -1 to -2. There's 2 units. So if he's going to score the opposite, we want to go that same distance from 0 in the opposite direction. So 1, 2. So now he scores the opposite. What does Eric score this week? It's +2. So it was -2 last week. It's +2 this week. Plot the number on the number line. So you just want to make sure you have that dot at 2. Put an X in the boxes that are true. What are the 2 requirements for 2 numbers to be opposites? If we look up here, one of the requirements would be that it's the same distance from 0. So whether we're going 0 to +2 or 0 to -2, we're moving 2 units. So it's the same distance from 0. So that is correct. So you're going to want to put an X in that box there. And then different distance from 0, no. It's not a different distance from 0. Twice the distance from 0, no. Same direction of 0, no. It's going in the opposite directions of 0. So those are the 2 X's, the 2 requirements. It needs to be the same distance from 0 and the opposite directions of 0. And then what is the distance of -4.9 from 0? So here we're looking at going back. I'm going to just use this this number line here, so that way we can look at it visually here. But it's saying 4.9, which would be right about here, -4.9. So it wants to know how far it's away from 0. So -4.9 would be 4.9 units from 0. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 0.9, 4.9. So we're going to write that. What is the distance? And that's really just saying what's the absolute value. And the absolute value is, you never really use the negative number with that, because you're just seeing you don't use the negative symbol, because you're just seeing what's the distance from 0. It's not saying what is the number. And so for that, you just basically, if it's a negative number, you just take out the negative and it's just 4.9. If it's a positive number, you just leave it and it'd be 4.9. So that's how that works. The distance from 0. Okay, and then 3. Sea level has an elevation of 0 feet. Okay, so we're thinking this here, sea level. It has a distance of 0 feet. A diver is at an elevation of -10 feet. So -10 is a diver. And then A hiker is at an elevation of 18 feet. Okay, so positive 18. Who is closer to sea level? So from sea level to the hiker, it's 18 units, 18 feet. From sea level to the diver, it's 10 units or 10 feet. So the diver is closer to sea level. So you're going to select A for that one. The low temperature on Tuesday was -8 degrees Celsius. The high temperature was 10 degrees Celsius. What was the change between the high and low temperatures? Okay, so what you want to think about here is when you're going from 0 to 10, or you're going from 10 to 0, how many degrees is that? That's 10 degrees or 10 units. Then you're going from 0 to -8. So then that area is another 8 units or 8 degrees. So then we add that together, 10 plus 8, and that equals 18 degrees. So D. So really with this one, you want to draw a picture so that way you don't forget that you're not only moving from 10, but you have to stop at 0 and then go from 0 to that -8 as well. Okay, so that's finishing up here for this review. And then I will make another video helping you through your quiz so that way you have a guide to go off of. And I will see you soon, and I can't wait. All right, bye.